Alright folks, welcome back to another video. In this teaching and or video, we're going to be going over array exhaustion. Now what exactly is array exhaustion, JJ? Array exhaustion is simply when price, it's in the name really, it's when it exhausts a PD array and it cannot be used anymore by the algorithm. It's basically like, oh, I'm done, I can't be used anymore. That's basically it. And the two ways it can do this, I'm going to type this out for you. The two ways it can do this is by one, using it. What I mean by that is tapping it, and displacing away from it. Okay. Second is pure disrespect. Disrespect. That's the second way. Okay. Now you can find pure disrespect in a lot of different ways. Well, not a lot, but I think it's about 3 different ways you can find disrespect when it comes to price hitting a PD array. You can like not necessarily predict it, but expect it to happen due to either price not leaving the PD array or it disrespecting the equilibrium or certain stuff like that. But these are the main two that exhaust the PD array, okay? And we're going to see a couple examples of that very, very soon. So you can go ahead and screenshot this right now, or you can just remember it. I'm sure you have the memory skills to remember this. It's pretty simple. But here we go. We're going to go over, for example, this PD array right here. Now, what is this right here, guys? What is this? Do you know what this is? This would be a propulsion block. This right here would be a propulsion block. The only PD array exhaustion does not go for is fair value gaps. That's the only one it doesn't go for, is fair value gaps. Because as you know, ICT has created so many different variations of the fair value gap. It's not like a must be respected type of PD array anymore. It's like it can turn into an inversion, a reaper, a reclaimed fair value gap. So obviously that's out of the question. But let's look here, right? We have this propulsion block right about here. Price keeps tapping it, but we're not displacing away from it, okay? When I say we've used a PD array, if you see ever hear me say this in the future, whenever I say we have used a PD array, I mean it taps it and displaces away, because that displacement away from it, aka using it, is the actual exhaustion of the array. It can tap it and do this right here, but it's this has not been exhausted yet because price hasn't used it to deliver. Because as you know, the algorithm is meant to run fast, and if it doesn't run fast and create time distortion, that means this is still here. This is still here, okay? And then this is a sign of disrespect right here. Whenever it comes into a PD array and it doesn't go anywhere, that's a sign that it might just disrespect. And as you see, without even me saying anything, you can see that it just completely disrespected it, okay? But what confirms the disrespect for a propulsion block is when it breaks the low of that candle, which would be right here. Or you can basically say sell side liquidity in this case, since it's a low, all bunched together or bundled together with these lows right here. So this is basically sell side liquidity. But as you can see, we have price showing that it doesn't want to go anywhere with this PD array, telling us that it's still active, and that, like I said again, it's not trying to go anywhere, showing that price may just disrespect it. As you see, price starts dumping, and then once you see, like I mentioned earlier, once you see price start disrespecting the equilibrium right here, that can be either your sign to get out. Well, matter of fact, no, not even your sign to get out. This is your first sign to get out. Whenever you see this right here, this is probably your first sign to get out. But don't always do that. Don't always do that. This is your first sign to be cautious. I'm going to say this. Whenever you see price come into a PD array and it doesn't go anywhere, be cautious. Don't get out, but be cautious. This right here is what's going to make you get out. This equilibrium disrespect, whenever it disrespects the equilibrium, that's when you get out. That's when you get out. And the reason I say that is because I've seen a lot of cases to where price will time distort and just build up orders for some sort of macro, and then it'll distribute. I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen countless times. I've seen it. Okay. So whenever you see this, don't get scared. Just be cautious. The word cautious might scare you a little bit, but be a little cautious or just be ready to exit if it begins disrespecting the equilibrium. Okay. But this is just one example of disrespect, or simply not using the PD array to deliver, resulting in the PD array being exhausted from this gigantic disrespect here. So let's go ahead and matter of fact, before we go to another PD array, watch this. We're gonna draw that propulsion block back out in time, right over here. And then if we look, I don't know why that just came up, but if we look and mark it as propulsion block again, whenever price tries to come back above and tap it, it runs through it. Why? Because this is exhausted. The algorithm is not paying attention to this no more. You understand? It's not paying attention to it no more. So we're gonna go over a couple more. We're gonna go over an order block, for example. Let's do this one right about here. So we got this order block right here. Boom. It's right there. Okay, now let's zoom in on this. Let's zoom in. I might just delete this and use the demonstration tool that I have equipped. The order block is right here. This candle right along here. I'm just gonna go up and down on it, but you see what I'm talking about. That's the bullish up close candle, the deepest up close candle before price, turned around. Price came into the order block right here because it broke that candle's low on this candle right here. If you want me to highlight it, on this candle right here, and then proceeded to head back up into the order block, I think respecting the equilibrium. Okay. Yep, the body closed, or bodies respecting the equilibrium, saying that it might, not even might, confirming that it will displace away from it. Does it do so? Yep, sure does. It sure does. And it sure does. It keeps going. Yeah, it sure does. So this PD array is what? It's exhausted. Now let's prove this. Let's prove this to ourselves real quick. We say it's exhausted, but is this true? Well, do I even have to say anything? We can clearly see that to the right of price, it just runs through it effortlessly. If you want to draw it all the way through, it runs through it. Okay, so that just proves that yes, this PD array did get exhausted after price came into it, respected the equilibrium, and displaced away from it. All that is not the exhaustion. The displacement away is the exhaustion. But what I was mentioning about the respect of the equilibrium, that's just me telling you that it's going to displace away from it. Okay, that's just the indication. Like, get ready, it's about to move. Like, we're about to start spooling. Get ready. Like, come on, what are you doing? You get what I'm saying? Like, come on, we're about to go. We're about to leave you. Bye. That's basically what that's saying. Okay, but the actual exhaustion of the PD array is this vicious drop here. This right here. That's what that is. This vicious, gigantic drop right there. Okay. And now, for example, let's do this real quick. Sometimes, what price will do is it will become a little algorithmic. You would see, price respect a PD array such as this one, which is the propulsion block. Now, pay attention. Just pay attention real quick. Price comes up into the propulsion block, right? It does not break the candle's high, which is right here. It not breaking the candle's high shows us that it doesn't want to go higher. It doesn't want to, push through. It doesn't want to disrespect. Okay, that's the word I was looking for. It doesn't want to disrespect. I can't believe I forgot about the word I've been using practically this entire recording. But we can see it's clearly not doing that right. What price will do sometimes, and it'll manipulate. It'll use PD arrays to do other things before it has to do another. And what I mean by that is, for example, it'll touch a order block and respect it to go lower back into a bullish fair value gap to disrespect the order block, displacing higher. It'll do stuff like that. It'll literally use it to manipulate. So just be careful in this situation right here. I'm going to explain this. Price comes up into the propulsion block and then proceeds to displace away. You might be like, oh, let's take sales. It's about to go lower. It's about to go far. Wait a minute. Because look, it comes down and it just stops. Literally just stops. I wish I can say this, but it literally just stops. What does it return back to? This balanced price range right in here. See that? Do you see it? From this candle's high to this right here, that's your balanced price range. Price comes down and it heads back up, disrespecting the propulsion block. That's what I mean right here. This right here is exactly what I mean by simply using or exhausting arrays to efficiently displace through them. Okay, this was the exhaustion right here. It displacing away from it. This was the exhaustion right here. I'm going to say this again because this is a very important concept. Price will, this is inevitable, it will use other PD arrays and exhaust them to either to simply manipulate or to exhaust them in order to efficiently, disrespect them and displace through them. Okay, that's the only two things it'll do. And matter of fact, it did both of those things here. Okay, I think basically the manipulating and the efficiently pushing through them, I think those are basically the same thing. I think I'm kind of complicating it, but if you want to make it the same thing, they can be kind of the same thing. But price uses it to manipulate, come back down to a temporary premium, which is between this low and this high. As you see, it comes down to a, well, not premium, but it comes down to a temporary discount respecting the equilibrium. And as you see, it's not wanting to displace through it. So it's like, okay, let's go higher. Let's delete all these drawings real quick. After respecting the equilibrium, price just goes wee and just shoots higher. It doesn't even, it just says wee and goes higher. So that is two cases so far. That's just two cases so far. Don't even, oh boy, there's a lot more things price can do. So we're gonna go over a couple more examples of this. What in the world is this consolidation? This is some terrible price action. We're gonna go to Monday, which should be around here exactly. Exactly right here, bro. Right about here. Okay. All right. So we got two PD arrays right here. We got a order block and then we got a breaker. We're gonna highlight this breaker, for example. Clearly, without any explaining, because I don't think I have to explain by now, we got this breaker, and clearly price disrespects it, exhausting the what? The breaker and or PD array. Exactly. So if we pull this out and see whenever price tries to come back into this breaker block, we can clearly see that it disrespects it. Like really, really disrespects it, okay? It tries to come down, back up to it. Well, not it tries. I'm not going to say it tries, because whenever I say it, I'm referring to the algorithm. But price in general will retrace back to that old breaker that's been disrespected and or exhausted, and it's not going to respect it or use it. It's just not. And as you clearly see, it does not do it here. And it just completely, literally gaps higher. I'm having little hiccups or been coughing and sneezing, but just because I've been up since 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm about to get ready to trade in about 2 hours. But yeah, this is array exhaustion. There's a lot of examples in this area. Matter of fact, I see a bunch of examples just right along this area here. And then we got this order block right here. You see that? We got this order block. Or matter of fact, when price came back up, you got this breaker here. See that? This breaker right along here. As you can see, price used the breaker to displace higher, going back into this order block and fair value gap. This changes state of delivery. So this is what I was talking about again. It uses it purposely to go higher temporarily and then drop, disrespecting and exhausting the breaker block. If we draw this back in time and see whenever price came back down to this level, we can see that it clearly disrespected it. Pretty amazing, isn't it? I think I've taught this once before, but I made it a little more complicated, just a tad bit more complicated, which I really did not have to do. But final example is you're going to highlight this order block and see how price treats it. Let's see. We got this right here, this order block, and then we also have this breaker. I'll be highlighting both just for your education. We're going to be highlighting both just for our final example. We got this breaker right here. Well, no, that's not the breaker. I'm tripping. So this is a bearish breaker. This would be the breaker right along here. So as you can clearly see, price comes into not the breaker, but just order block. As you can see, it respects the breaker literally by 1 tick. Like there's a 0 tick difference between them. If you look right here, literally a 0 tick difference in that little spot. So price comes into the order block and displaces away from it. It should exhaust it, right? Now let's draw this in time. I don't even have to explain it, because you can already see it. But we can clearly see this proves our theory, and price shoots right through it. It's just amazing, isn't it? Now, what price can do, and which is done multiple times, matter of fact, is an actual concept, is called a reclaimed order block. A old order block that's been used can be drawn back out in time for opposite price action. What I mean by that is, if you had a bearish order block used for bearish price action, you can draw that back out. It must be used though. You can draw that back out, and whenever price comes above and back down to the order block, it can keep using it to go higher. But for example, if we were staying with strictly the bearishness of it and wanting to use it for bearish purposes, yes, it got exhausted for bearish purposes. But if it got reclaimed like this, came back up and then down, it would then be used for bullish purposes, okay? But since, for example, we're talking about strictly bearish purposes here, because it's a bearish order block, that was why it was first created, for bearish purposes and bearish price action, it got exhausted for that, and then, you know, just placed higher through it, because it was already used right here by displacing lower. One displacement comes back up, taps it again, and another displacement, really, really exhausting that order block, okay? We reached the end. This was a pretty decent video. I think I taught you pretty well. Hopefully I did, and you could absorb this information very nicely and very smoothly and easily, so you can go in the charts, use it, and, you know, battle these rigged markets, okay? Because as we both know, the fact that I have to teach you about manipulation already confirms that this market is rigged. But anyways, this is the end of Array Exhaustion, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Good luck and good trading.